Hey everyone! In today's episode, we're going to learn how to use the Corona Render Select option. This is a really useful tool when we have a finished render and we need to change some of the materials without actually changing the geometry of the space. To start using it, we need to access the render setup. To do this, press this button or F10. Under the Scene tab, General Settings, we have the Render Select option. Under Mode, we have 4 different options. Disable, and then we have the Include and Exclude list. We have 2 different options which are exactly the same as the ones that we have for the material override. If you press the plus button, it's going to automatically add any of the objects that you have currently selected. It's going to start refreshing and you're going to see nothing is actually happening. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to change the material of this object for a different color. You can see now the material is only changing on this particular object, even though that color is being applied to multiple objects. The other option that we have is press this button where it says Object Included, and then we're going to have this Exclude and Include list, which is really easy to navigate. On the left side, we're going to have all the objects that we have on scene. On the right side, we can select if we want these to be included or excluded. You can see that we have this object included already. If you press the middle buttons, you can add them or remove them from the selection. On the bottom, if you have any selection set, you can also add selection sets. The second mode that we have is the Viewport selection. What Viewport selection is going to do is going to render only what I have selected on my screen. This tool is really useful when you are finalizing a render and you need to do a quick fix, but it's even really useful if you notice on your post-processing that you need to do a change to the material. The third mode that we have is the Object GBuffer ID. What this is going to do is going to render only the objects with that particular ID set. To do this, we're going to select one of the objects that we want to change. We're going to go to the Object Properties, and then we're going to be changing the GBuffer object ID to a different number. I'm going to be selecting one for this particular object. After this, I'm going to change my object ID to 1, and I'm going to be updating that color. So we're going to be trying a more lighter color. You can see that the color changed for all the objects that has that material, but it's only being updated on the object ID 1. When you have render selected, there are like a couple things that could happen. One is that when you select your object, the whole scene will be black and you're going to see only that particular object render. To avoid this, go to the System Settings, and then on the Frame Buffer, just uncheck the Clear Virtual Frame Buffer between render. What this is going to do is that anytime that you're doing a render, everything else that you have rendered previously is still going to be on the screen rather than render the new selection. Sometimes you need to be a little bit careful with this. If you are moving your camera, if you are moving your objects on the scene, what is going to happen is that you're going to have like all these objects on your scene, and that can cause like really weird things. I'm going to show it to you quickly. What I'm going to do is change this to Viewport selection. Now you can see that I'm only rendering what I have selected and it's clearing everything else. If I uncheck this button and then now I select another object, the previous one is still going to remain on the scene. If I remove my view lock and I go to the selected view, now you can see that I have like really weird things because now I'm rendering everything on top of each other. If I select the clear button again, now I'm going to be rendering just the object that I have selected. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And thank you for watching.